Three, two, one. Hello, I'm pretty excited to have two co-hosts today. We have Foodigenous. He's been on the show before with his food blogging, and you've got to go check it out. Adam, hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you? Nice to be back.
Good. And my roomie, Michelle, who is one of the people that turned me on to the Traitors. Hi, Michelle.
Hey, Candy.
Hey, so we're going to have a whole discussion about the at least a segment. If it doesn't go longer, it doesn't go longer, but we're free to go as long as we want.
Oh, it's going to go. We're going to have multiple episodes. It's going to go on forever.
Okay, so yeah, I saw Trader commercials. I just didn't think it would appeal to me. And then my friend's son was like, you have to watch this. He has a party night with his friends. His wife and her girlfriend watch it. And then Michelle and Megan were watching it and said, oh, you got to watch this. I could hear them laughing and screaming upstairs. Now, did you get right into this right away, or do you have a history?
So I got on season 2. I didn't watch season 1, and then I watched season 2. And the same feelings I'm getting with season 3, that anxiety, that excitement. Like this is one of my favorite reality shows by far, because it really kind of gets you through all the emotions all at once, and I love it. And my wife just started watching this season as well, but she doesn't really watch any TV with me. But it's fun to have someone else that's, you're kind of freaking out. I like it.
Totally. So maybe we should talk about, in case someone hasn't watched it, which is highly likely with this podcast. Let's talk about the basic premise. It comes from a Russian psychologist board game called Mafia, right? That's what I
Is
heard.
that?
I think
I
so.
didn't know it was Russian, but that's awesome.
Yeah.
And the reality show, it's a spinoff from a Dutch reality show.
Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that.
And
then just how awesome is Alan? I mean, I'm jumping right to it, but the
Oh,
host of the show is
the
just
host of the
awesome.
show is amazing.
It was Alan Cummings. I don't watch reality shows very often, but I love Alan Cummings, and so that's why we've been in since season 1. We've watched the UK, the US, Canada,
Oh, so you're really in.
Australia, New Zealand. Yeah.
Oh, see, I didn't even know there was Canada.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this question. Does it mean less to you when you don't know? I assume you're not like savvy on all of your Canadian and British reality stars. I love reality more than I should at 50 years old. And especially when I know the people on it. Like I'm a big Challenge fan and a Survivor fan. Is it less effective when it's something you're just watching like out of overseas?
This is the draw of me coming to talk to you today, to talk to Candy, because I love the difference between the UK, they don't have reality stars. It's all regular people. And and the same kind of with Australia. It's a mix. And season 1 of the US was like a 50-50 mix of reality stars or famous people and just regular people. And I loved it. And it's just different that reality star, especially the competitive reality star, and how they enact this format, and regular people when you get them in. And I find both really fascinating. And since I don't know any of the reality stars, it doesn't make any difference to me whether they're a reality star or not. I just know because they talk about their gameplay, and normal people never talk about that in real life.
It's the exact opposite for me. It's because I know people like Wes or Boston Rob or Derek, and I know how great they were on their respective shows, that it's exciting because I know like shit's going down, pardon my French.
Oh, that's good.
Stuff's going down.
Speak French here. You know what? I mean, it's interesting because, I mean, one of the things that both my friend Zach in Canada and Michelle and Megan mentioned was they said, "Oh, you've got to watch the show. You've got to see this woman, Kate Chastain." I went, "What?" Because she's from Below Deck. And they go, "She is so funny." And I went, "She is?" Because I know her from Below Deck and it's very tense and it's a reality show where they're all working on a yacht and they're all hot and sexy and they have sex all the time. And so, I know her from that and her holding back and being restrained and being a boss. So when I started, the US is the first one I watched. And I did watch the UK as well. But I found it upsetting, Foodigenous, because it's non-celebrities and celebrities. And I found that the people that weren't celebrities were so emotionally upset when they got kicked off or when bad things happened that I was really torn up inside. I was
Yeah.
felt so bad for them. So the second season, when it became just mostly reality stars, there was a relief because listen, they can handle it. Yeah, they're upset. They're still emotional, but this is their job. And when they're getting stabbed in the back, I'm like, well, it's part of the show. So we should break down kind of the rules of the game. It is a game. It is I love game theory, and it is social gaming based on emotions and deception. So, can you tell us about the castle or the setup and how this looks, both of you? Maybe.
Oh yeah, go ahead, Adam.
Yeah, I mean, just from what I see from watching, it's at a beautiful setting in Scotland.
Yes.
It's Alan Cumming, I guess, he's Scottish, and we assume that has something to do with him. My wife and I were talking, like, we don't even know for real. Is it actually shot in there, or are they at like at a studio? Do they sleep there? Like, there's so many questions I have about it. But the idea is that this awesome castle. You assume everyone's sleeping over, and three people or so are picked to be villains, and everyone else is picked to be a faithful. And I guess the concept of the game is to win, and either you're going to win as a villain or win as a faithful, and you'll split a part of the money.
Yes.
I love it. I do. I really, really enjoy it. I
Yeah.
probably didn't give a good description, so I apologize.
No, that's great.
Yeah, it is the illusion is that, it's 20 or so people locked in a castle in Scotland. And
Yeah,
during the day, you do these madcap stunts to raise money because you have to raise the prize money,
that's good.
which is the what makes it kind of interesting. It's not just like Mafia where you're all trying to figure out who the murderers are. Um, and you get to the end, you have to get rid of, whittle it down to at least 4 or 5 people to the end. And if there's one traitor left, then that traitor takes everything. So
Yeah,
you have to
and the
make
one
sure, right, that
the
that your
one
that
thing
traitors are gone.
I'm stepping on you. I'm sorry. The one thing I really like about this too is, I mean, these guys are like D-list, C-list celebrities sometimes. So like if you watch Jeopardy, Celebrity Jeopardy, and a lot of times when they win, they donate the money to charity. I like the fact that these guys are getting the money and keeping the money, and I think it makes them more hungry and
Yes.
competitive because at the end it goes in their pocket.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they
You
need
know?
this is their job. They
Yeah.
they need this money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm assuming they get paid a per diem, like a day job, but most TV shows a minimum $10,000 per episode. So there's an impetus to stay in the game and earn money,
Sure.
and there's an impetus to you know, to be deceptive because what the idea is to vote off anyone who's a traitor. And no one knows who it is, and you have to pledge to not tell anyone you're a traitor. You can't tell anyone. You can't go in if they found you saying, "Hey, Adam and Michelle, I'm a traitor. Let's work together and I'll split the money with you at the end." You can't do that. Same as on Survivor. They find ways to find out if you're devious
Yeah.
on that level. That would be illegal. And
Yeah.
so the whole show, as you say, is a lot of talking and whispering and running around and trying to find signs of what would be a traitor versus what would be faithful. And part of the
Hilarious.
fun is that I don't think these contestants can tell anything.
No one knows anything.
They
They're
don't.
wrong all the time.
They're wrong
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're right. They go, "I think it's Cherie." And somebody goes, "No, it's not. She's so nice." Because they have an in-group with her. So part of
Yeah.
the social game theory is that if you have an in-group, it's been proven, you will be loyal to them and you'll never believe that they're a traitor. So the
Oh, well,
traitor
it's
can
great.
use that.
It's
It's great.
uh I think this is all compounded. The contestants don't actually stay in the castle. And I think you can see them, the bell rings and they each individually leave, right? And they get in a car. They stay at the like Inverness Airport Hotel. And each one gets into a car and gets dropped off individually and gets locked in their room at the hotel.
Yeah.
And so they can't talk to each other off camera. They can't get together and plot. Everything has to happen from the point they walk in the breakfast to the point they get into the car.
Yeah.
So it's an intense, you have that like boiler room aspect where they spend all night by themselves without a phone, without being able to talk to anyone else, trying to think up theories, and they go crazy. And then they come in the morning, and they're just like, it's like a middle school sleepover.
It is kind of like that, yeah. So that adds
I
to
also want to say, as a foodie, right? I do look
Yes.
at that breakfast. I look at that morning breakfast, and I'm like, oh, I would eat that. I like that. The tea and all that stuff.
It's so funny you should say that. I think about that too, and I wish we saw more of the food. There's many details I wish we saw more, and I kind of wish we saw them talking more in the daytime, but I don't, when they're playing, I don't think they get a lot of chances. I don't
No,
know
I
what
don't
your
either.
impression
I
is.
think the other thing that I don't think we said, but we should, there's
Right.
two ways to get out, right?
Yes.
There's the banishment, which means that everybody votes for someone to get out that they think is a traitor. And many times they're wrong. And then the traitors that, right after that vote, they murder someone. So,
Correct.
I mean, twice a day, twice an episode, there's potentially two people that are getting outed. So you go really aggressive at the banishment table and you go after a traitor and that traitor doesn't go out, then they're likely going to kill you or kind of come up with some plan to kill you so that they're not immediately outed. And
Right.
I love it because it's delicate. There's a delicateness to it.
There's delicate. So, in the first season, which I know you haven't watched yet, but series on it, and she's from Survivor, I would have got rid of her right away. In the same way, as soon as I adore Boston Rob. How do you guys feel about Boston Rob?
Adore would be a strong word for me. I mean, I like him. He's a chaos agent.
Yeah.
And I can't believe they haven't gotten rid of him. The only thing I can think of is that the other people, when they're afraid that if they don't get rid of him, he'll come for them. But they also know he's a traitor and they're keeping him in their pocket until the end.
I love Boston Rob. I feel like Boston Rob's a little, in love with Boston Rob this season. And it makes sense to get rid of him. Like last season when they got rid of Johnny Bananas, who's one of my favorites from the challenge. He's the 7-time challenge winner. It makes sense to go after them immediately, even though CT, who's also, a perennial champion on the Survivor, on the challenge won. It does make sense to go after. It makes sense to go after Derek too. Derek's a known, really good player for Big Brother. So I don't know why they don't go after these people immediately. I would think they should.
Yeah, I was trying to think of that too. I'm thinking there's no way they're going to make it to the end. Unless they get into a position of power. But I think that in a way it's like when you take a villain in Survivor to the end, they don't do it so much now, but they did it for about 10 seasons. People took a villain to the end of the game because the contestants vote on who they will give the money for, and they won't give it to a villain. So in a weird way, it's almost like Boston Rob, who's been on Survivor 6 times. He had a reality poker show. He's a very good poker player. Maybe they're keeping him because he's the devil they know.
Right.
And maybe they're thinking about ratings too. I mean, if you're on this show, maybe the ratings work in everyone's benefit to keep the show positive because he does bring ratings.
No, and I think that, a lot of these contestants are very aware of the show. Yeah. And I think we're very aware of how the show should go, especially on the challenges I watch. A lot of it's for show. Survivor, I don't really know that it's for show. I think there's a desperateness to Survivor. I love Survivor. What do you guys think of Carolyn's chances?
Oh, I love her. I think she may implode. But
she's a nut job, but I love her. She's a nut job, but I love her.
She is. Well, she's a former addict. She's recovered, and
Sure.
she's been very out about that. One of the reasons I like her is because she's one of the few women that talks. Most of game show and reality show is a lot of men talking, and no offense. And I that's fun too, but she puts it out there. So I find I'm very attached to her, and it's why I like Kate Chastain too on season
Yeah.
1 and season 2.
Season 2, yeah, I know her from
Yeah,
season 2.
yeah, she's not afraid to say things, and I find that a relief. You know.
Yeah, I think Carolyn would have made it really far because she's fun and a bit of drama, but not threatening, and no one would ever think she could hold it together to be a traitor. But this, like, you know, you can get voted off as a faithful if you're too chaotic. I can't believe Tom hasn't been voted off yet because he's a mess, right?
He's
But
a mess.
they just haven't gotten to him yet. At some point, you become too much of a mess, and people don't want to deal with you, and they get rid of you. And I worry that Carolyn's put herself in that category.
Yeah. So
Can we guess can we guess right now, or is it too early? Who do we think is going to make the final
go ahead. I think it's a great idea to see who will win. Or should we say the last 4?
Yeah, the last 4, right? Like, because I really don't know for a lot of the reasons we said. Are people going to keep people on?
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to keep Boston Rob on to the end. I think his time is done.
I think so.
I'm in the next 2 or 3 shows.
Yeah, I think so. But I think Caroline has a very good chance. But
I do too.
Yeah. Because again, she's so kooky. Her worst enemy is Danielle and Boston Rob. And if they feel threatened, they will get rid of her. But when they bring her to that table now, they're gonna be outed because everyone's watching Rob because he already betrayed a traitor. So I'm actually willing to say that Tom Sandoval will make it to the top 4. And the reason I say it is because no one likes him. I'm the only person on planet Earth that still likes him. He was in a very difficult love relationship on TV. He was wrong. He was a cat. He was a shithead. And of course, I feel bad for the women involved. However, Tom Sandoval was the best part about Vanderpump Rules. He was fantastic, and he is good TV. He's someone who's like a wounded Idaho mystic. He came from a small town and wanted to make it big in the LA, and he's almost like a Diane in Mulholland Drive, the character Naomi Watts. So he's been corrupted by Hollywood, and he was such a driving moral force in the show for me. But now I think because no one likes him, they're not going to let him win. They're not going to take him to the final 2, but they might use him because they do believe he's a faithful. I do
think Derek has a great chance. If Derek's game show doesn't, he may be too good.
Yes.
In the next couple episodes. But I think right now he's my favorite to win it all.
Yeah. Yeah. I think Dylan Efron is going to.
Oh my God, I love him.
I love him too, but I feel
everyone
bad
knows he's faithful, and everyone likes him. Like the way they banded together after that first episode when he came for Bob, and Bob Bob the drag queen went for him.
Yeah.
And it was like everyone was like, "Oh, come on, we'll work on your pitch." Like everyone just banded around him. I don't see him going unless he gets murdered.
I think he's my favorite right now.
I think he's my favorite too.
There's an innocence to him.
Yeah.
That and he really is I think he's gonna be hurt when he finds out that Boston Rob, was a traitor.
Yeah. Unless he suspects and maybe he's working it more than we think he is, because he does come across as a kind of a dumb blonde. But he knew right away Bob the drag queen was a traitor. But then he named 2 other people and he was wrong. That's also very funny how they can be so on topic and then all of a sudden wrong.
Oh, and
Robin the housewife. I'm sorry, I stepped on you.
That's okay.
Robin the housewife was, I'm doing it again. I'm sorry. Robin the housewife was wrong on every single thing she said, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, them being wrong and theorizing is actually very, very funny. And it shows us how we actually don't understand each other and we don't understand people.
Yeah, this is like what hooked me into the Traitors, especially since the first season was half regular people, half reality stars. And the UK version is all, like they take it so personally, and you see how our society works, right? You see how, intelligent, rational people just jump to something for survival or just get it wrong. You in the absence of surety of what's happening, we just create alternate realities
Well,
all over the place.
Yeah.
I would say conspiracy theories. Their ideas about who a traitor is sounds just like a conspiracy theory. So in that way, it seems very topical and very on the pulse of our society. So we're watching that. That's why I like these shows, because I was not very good social settings. I've been a bartender all my life, and always something would happen, like confrontation. You just have that a lot in the restaurant business. But when I started watching Survivor, I started learning some skills. I was like, it's okay to hold back. It's okay not to react. It's okay not to cry. Don't cry. Try to find social ways of touching base with people. And I mean, that's what I think if I was playing, I would touch base. But apparently, being sincere and altruistic in the Traitors we saw that it brings suspicion to you. It's brought suspicion over and over again. And that's interesting in terms of game theory, that's not a reliable way to go forward. I don't know how you would play. Wouldn't you love to play?
I would love to play. I would love to play all these, like the three that I watched. There's this Survivor, and the challenge. I wonder how I would play. I think I would want to be very social, but then I think that would come back and get you. I think that CT last year and CT with every year of the challenge, he always plays slightly behind the people, and I think that that's a way of kind of coasting. Yeah. Is anyone coasting right now, do we think, in this season?
Tom Sandoval.
Is there anyone that's not
Tom
really?
Sandoval.
I think Wes was trying to coast. He was trying to do that, and then
he's such a gamer that
it's like someone unmasked a wolf in the room.
Yeah. He got his Amazon delivery of testosterone suddenly or something, because he just went nuts. And
that last second arrogance killed him. I think he would have been fine if he didn't threaten everybody.
That's right. That's right.
Which again, a very good point, Adam, is that, we think these cameras are on them and they're faking it. Yeah, there could be some manipulated action going on, right? However, people forget the cameras are on them. They really do. And look, we've probably forgot we're recording right now. People forget the cameras are on them, and then the true motives do show up. The bad guy always gets outed. In all these reality shows, and the good guy, sometimes they become super popular online. So it's interesting how there is an extended reality to these TV shows.
Did you guys watch House of Villains?
No, I've never heard of it.
So House of Villains, a lot of the same characters are on both shows. So House of Villains, Wes, I don't want to give it away, but Wes kind of does the same exact thing. And House of Villains just ended, and then Traitors came on. He did the same exact thing that got him eliminated. So, I mean, that's kind of his MO. And yeah, definitely watch that. But that's really fun, too. That's just...
Now,
can't help it.
Is Wes a wrestler, or is he like just a big athletic guy, or what's going on there? Not just.
No, he's an entrepreneur now, but he started off in the real world, and then, as the real world were just normal people when they got to the challenge. They weren't in great shape, and they did all these things. And now, like, everyone on the challenge is fit. Everyone's super fit, including Wes now, who is like, he's getting up there. I think he's probably 40 or something, getting up there. That's still a baby, but they're all super fit. So he just looks like he's in shape because he works out as part of his job. Although he did retire from the challenge. And then he just popped up on House of Villains and Traitors. I think when these guys, again, I'm a cheeseball with the challenge, but when they retire from the challenge, it's just because they want to do these other shows in between.
Interesting. So do you, I'm glad you guys mentioned the physicality, because it is intriguing to me that, we joke a lot about reality TV, but we've had it with us for a long, long time. Like, That's Incredible was a reality TV show, and we've got Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. In a weird way, those are like mini reality TV, where you've got personalities that do screw up when they're doing a game because of their humanness. We've just got this steroid situation now with reality TV. But what's interesting is that even so-called ordinary people, not celebrities, they've got these physical skills. They've got these social skills that we're seeing, almost like blogging. right? Where someone, you're blogging, I blog, is that you find out there's a whole world of people out there that are really wanting to share their skills, like Wes's physicality or changing his body. The challenge, is there a personality aspect, a social game in the challenge, or is it all physical achievements?
No, it's almost all, it's the opposite. It's really the personality and the strategy.
Oh,
Um,
I didn't know
yeah,
that. I thought it
yeah.
was all like weightlifting or something.
No, the challenge, there's events. You know, it's great. If you recall last season with the traders, there was a like a daily challenge where they were swimming and they had to
Yes.
swim.
Yeah.
And no one really did anything and they weren't going to do it. And then Trishelle and CT kind of went full challenge mode. They jumped in and they got everything and they won the money for the day.
Hmm.
I think that the challenge has really physical tasks,
Mm.
but the majority of it is the social and gameplay.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, I
so
didn't
you
know
guys
that.
can
That,
work some.
that does intrigue me now because I thought it was like those games where you jump over pontoons and it's like slapstick, violent, athletics.
No, no. Just, well, I mean, parts of it, definitely parts of it are that, but that's just kind of to win the daily challenge, so you're safe from getting voted out.
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, I do feel like the challenges this time are
Hey, buddy,
No, we have a cat visiting.
I got my red guy too. I'll open the door and let
Oh,
her know.
nice. Okay, don't press any buttons, honey. Yeah.
I feel like the challenges this time are not as intense as they have been. I feel like in the first couple, there were always like they were rolling barrels up a hill, and I know they had to carry heads up
Oh,
the hill this time. That
oh,
almost caused Bob Harper to have another heart attack. But
right.
um,
Yeah,
there were a lot more. It was like bugs, and you had to like, crawl through things, and so you always had like some housewives who were like, "I'm not doing that." The real estate agents like, "I'm not going in and doing that. There's no way." And so you had to keep some physical people. You had to
Mm-hmm.
keep some fit people. You had to keep some young people to be able to get this money. And I feel like this season, you don't really need that.
Oh,
You wouldn't have to keep like a Wes
right.
just so that you can get all the money.
Mm-hmm.
that's a great point. I didn't realize that until you said that, but absolutely, that's true. You know, that's with Survivor too, right? You always want to keep like someone who's going to be able to keep you guys fed. And
Yeah.
this season with
Yeah.
Traders, you don't really have that except for the head one, which was kind of the most physical. That's a great
Right.
Yeah.
point.
And it was early. It was early in it because I mean, I think they have to gear some of these games like puzzles so that you have all the different types of you can't have all the real housewives and that they can't do this stuff, you know. They could damage themselves. Like they can't really be physical. The other thing with actors is we were joking about how Tom Sandoval, who's a big worker, he couldn't oar a boat, he couldn't row, he couldn't do anything. And yet he's just got Hollywood muscles,
Right.
Hollywood
Right.
fit,
Got show muscles.
show muscles,
Yeah.
yeah, sinewy or something. Whereas, and then you've got like the Real Housewives, they do work out and they are strong. But when you've got actors in that, their faces are money. They
Oh
can't
yeah.
really hurt themselves. They've got
No,
endurance issues.
you know what's weird this season too? A lot of these adjacent shows like House of Villains,
Yeah.
these crews will stay together. So like the Housewives will stay together even if it's not the
Yes.
same thing.
Good
They have
point.
that like
Yeah.
sorority of people stuck together. They didn't do that. Survivor cannibalized themselves this year. There
Yeah.
was no one like if
Yeah.
Survivor just stayed together, they would be better off.
Oh,
Mhm.
They
yeah.
could have been
They
after
they would
each
have
other.
I
they would have
agree.
run the table for
Correct.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially if they're fit, especially if they have an
Yeah.
allegiance. Whereas, and there are in groups on Survivor, but the last 2 or 3 seasons, that's almost like the first place they sabotage the game, and they do a blindside. Here, they're trying to manage a blindside. They're trying to, think about what does it look like when we get someone off, where I didn't feel that was as strong in the previous season 2 of the Traders. This time, almost every meeting is analyzing how does it look? Well, we can't do another housewife. We can't do this person because then it looks like we're resentful. They have to
Yeah.
keep people that are against them in a way so they don't look like traitors.
Yeah, normally, but this is crazy.
It is
Like,
crazy.
this is the first time. This is why I can't believe that everyone in that castle doesn't realize Boston Rob is a traitor.
Yeah.
Because you're like, oh, what do you think about, Bob the drag queen goes, we got to look at the three new guys. And Boston Rob is like, you're out.
Yeah.
Bob Harper is like, well, I guess Boston Rob could be. And he's like, you're out.
You're out.
It's
yes.
And that's so different than the previous seasons where you wouldn't go directly.
Right.
Because if you did, it would look look bad.
Dylan, it still looks bad though. It's just a matter of time. I mean, I think because he's doing it so abruptly.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time.
I think it will be this week coming up, probably this week or next. The thing with Dylan Efron and why, he's a favorite for you and for me, and why he may make it is that if he does think, again, he may be thinking it's Boston Rob, but don't draw attention to himself because he'll get voted off. That's maybe why he doesn't say anything, is that Boston will go after him. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't think of him that's strategic. I mean, shame on me. Like, I think of he's a handsome guy. I think of him as a himbo a little bit, but he's also really kind of dead on sometimes. But like you said, he's also dead off.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, maybe we're not also seeing some of his we are only available to what they edit for us, what they show us. He could have hit some notes. The other thing is we should mention, for if you're not watching this, is that he's Zac Efron's brother, and that's pretty interesting. And that turned into one of the reasons why everyone rallied around him was one of the traitors said, "Your brother can't act."
Oh yeah, he was like, he said, "I've grown up around my brother's an actor," and Bob the drag queen went, "Not a good one."
Yeah, and everyone rallied. Everyone rallied.
He's
actually a great actor. I like Zac.
He's actually a great actor. I watched his wrestling movie, and I mean, he's doing like the De Niro transformations. He's a lovely actor.
Yeah. Oh no, I mean, Bob the drag queen, he was fighting for his life,
right? And he was
throwing out whatever he could,
and it was funny. It was catty. It was funny. But boy, it was great. It backfired. Yeah, it didn't keep him.
I would like to have seen him on a little bit more because he was such a strong personality. I think that he would have been good to see how he played out.
Yeah.
There's no way he and Boston Rob were going to make it together as traitors, though. They both wanted. Yeah, they both wanted to run.
Season 1 or any of the other foreign seasons, do they ever have 4 traitors? Because I just watched last year and it was 3.
Did they also have 4? I didn't know there was 4 in other ones.
Yeah, they sometimes have 4. Start with 4. It's rare, I think, I feel like it's rare to start with 3, but yeah, 4 is and
then they can just let one go, and they don't. The other thing is
because you bring people on, so as you get. I feel like in the UK one this year is they start out with 3 because quickly someone gets voted off, right? Like there's always one traitor that just can't quite hang on to it, or they just guess right and they get a traitor off. But there's so much intrigue in who you ask when you recruit, how you recruit. That this is a part of the game. As you go on seasons, you got to make it fresh. I feel like this is part of the game that can keep it fresh. And that this year, you had 3, and then you had Bob come in, an episode later and just become one, which is a bit of intrigue.
Yeah. Also,
but also a huge factor, right? That's a huge factor because we know we expect that it's going to happen again, where someone gets flipped from faithful to traitor.
Right. We should say that they replace them. We should say that they replace. If a traitor goes off, they usually bring a new person in who was formerly a faithful.
But yeah, right? But I didn't. So they haven't done that yet, right? Even though they had someone out, because last year they were only at 3 and they kind of stayed at 3. This time they were at 4. But that's going to change the answer, I think, to who we think is going to make it to the end too. Because if a Dylan gets asked to be a traitor, he's going to go because nobody thinks of him as a traitor.
Yeah, that was one of my 4. I had Derek, Dylan, new traitor. So whoever invariably traitors get. When you get down to 2, you can recruit, and when you get down to 1, You know, like if in the event that there's only one traitor left, then it's a you join or die situation, right? So that there's always at least two traitors. Um, and that so that there's going to be some new traitor that no one suspects that's going to go all the way.
Yeah, which is really gives them a lot of strength.
I think it's going to win. I think whoever that is, they're going to win. I mean, because I think that, we're so confident that certain people are faithfuls. The aristocrat, I can't think of his name, Ivor.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't really even care about him, but if he becomes a traitor, he's going to win.
I meant to say
kind of under the radar.
Yeah, I meant to say Ivor could be the final four too.
I can't believe they haven't gotten rid of him. They haven't murdered him yet. I know they say that on the show. They're like, "What's he still doing here? How come they haven't murdered him?"
Right.
You know, and I keep thinking, I was like, God, no one's voting him out. He's so inconsequential. You could just get rid of him. But
I loved the guy last year. I can't remember his name, and I didn't know him going into it. He was like the aristocrat, the British guy from last year.
British Parliament. He was Parliament.
Yeah, that was funny. That was bizarre. That was just
bizarre.
It was
so awesome.
It was awesome. And then he would say something really kind of, at first he was like a dick. Like I thought he was like a right-wing dick, but eventually he kind of had some wisdom. He would say something. I'd be like, actually, that's pretty good. Yeah.
And I will say he's not an aristocrat. He's part of the House of Commons. He was not part of the House of Lords. So
well,
he was elected.
We just assume,
I know you hear the British accent.
It's just the accent. I assume anyone with that accent is an aristocrat.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So this is a very exciting season, partly because we've thrown out these ideas of who could it be and who's going to make it to the top four. Now, if you were playing, how far would you get? We've sort of touched on that a little bit. Michelle, how far would you get?
It depends. If I were picked a traitor, I'd be out in two episodes. I have no poker face. I would like step on my words or something and people would just be like, you're out. It would be instant. And I think if I were faithful, I might be able to hide in the background for a good long time. Make it to at least the second half.
I don't think I'm egotistical, but in this, I think I would do really well in these shows. And I've always wanted to do it. I have a regular job that I can't afford to take all this time off, but it would be a dream of mine. And I would be the first person out, maybe, because I think I'd do really well. But I do think that from the social game, just throughout life, I think I'm pretty social, and I think I would use that well to get near the end, I think. But again, who knows? But I would love to. I would love a scenario in life that I could do one of these game shows. That's why I do these challenge events where I meet them and mingle with them, because it's literally, 2 hours of being in that world and doing a shot with them or something,
That's cool. I hope you've taken a photo with them. Maybe we can share them on the podcast, the social media.
There's a really great podcast. You guys should watch the challenge. I mean, I think
I think it will now.
Around the same age-ish. But the challenge really derived from the real world and road rules. And I grew up with these guys. There's a great podcast called Challenge Mania. It's one of the original road rulers and a guy, Scott, and they have a really great show. And then they kind of take that throughout the country, and they have a panel of like 5 or 6 challenge people, and you get to hang out with them and stuff like that. I would go to these events if they did the same with Survivor. Just to hang out with them for 2 hours and mingle. You're on that show, in my head, I'm on that show for 2 hours.
Yeah.
That is very cool. And they're pretty friendly to everybody.
I mean, so nice, so aware of their, where their bread is buttered. And they are really genuinely nice.
That's very cool.
Nice.
I think, for Survivor, I've always thought I could get to top 4. Now, the problem is I don't like bugs. And I would not eat anything gross. So that could be a real problem.
Thing.
Yeah, but
I'd be out in episode 1.
Yeah, and I don't like to suffer, but I can suffer. I don't like to suffer, but I can suffer. So I could probably put up with rain and lack of sleep to a degree. But I don't think I would win. But I think I could social game get pretty far, and partly due to the fact of watching these shows. Like I said, I have I used to be pathologically shy. I used to have social anxiety. Those things have really changed in me over my life. Growing up and experiencing things, they're not as powerful. But traitors, Mm. I would not like to be a traitor, except that's where all the fun has to be. So
I
there's
think that's the fun. Yeah.
that has to be super fun. And I would just try to be, I would feel bad about tricking people, but I would do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't
I
feel.
would
I
do
don't
it.
think I would feel bad because I know it's a game.
It's
But
a
Right.
game,
I
right? And I don't feel bad playing, cribbage or poker. I'm not
Oh
sitting
yeah.
there going
yeah,
like, "Sorry, I'm taking your money." Not that I am
no.
taking. I like how I threw it in like I'm a good poker player. I'm not. I'm only played like very minimum games. But game-wise, I do like to compete in a game.
Yeah.
I do.
No, and social. The reason that you and I are talking for the
Yeah,
second time on a podcast is
yeah.
because we met each other in a bar in New Orleans, and we
That
kind of
is
just
so
chit chat
true.
it. Yeah,
That's
so
so
I mean,
true.
I think that we both probably share a social element that would take us far.
I think so too. I think there is, and the
I'd
other
watch
thing
that show.
you would
I'd
watch that
watch
show.
that show.
You're watching it. You're right on it right
I
now.
know, right?
I think also I find people that watch this kind of game reality show, they're people. It's like
Mm.
people who watch sitcoms, I find are funnier than people that don't watch sitcoms in real life. I'm not saying you're ripping off the show, but you get that kind of flow of banter. And I think there's a real interest in human nature and the human condition in this reality show. Is it capitalist? Yeah, there's going to be a winner. It's not just capitalist though. It's more about just making a living. And I think that's the other thing I might venture forth, that part of the reason we relate to it is because we all work. And we have to be in
Mm.
those work settings, and we know there's a Boston Rob in our jobs. We
Yeah.
know there's a Chriselle who always has to be the popular girl. What
Yeah.
about Chriselle?
I love Chriselle, but I think I love her because she's pretty. I don't know her before this, but I kind of like her.
Yeah. Did you notice Chriselle?
Oh yeah, of course. I
Yeah.
mean, I think it's she plays a predictable character in
Yes.
this scenario. What I don't like is that it's so close to Trishelle that for like the first two
Mm.
episodes, I was like, it is that and they're both blonde reality stars,
Yeah.
and you're like, that's not, but I thought she want no, but
Well, what are the chances of a name like Trishelle and Chriselle being possible?
Yeah,
I didn't know that was
it's
even.
I
pretty
know. Like, how many other shells are there out there that we don't know about? You
right.
There could
know?
be a lot.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
Chriselle's interesting to me because I watched Million Dollar Listing, which is a TV show
Oh,
about selling property in Los Angeles. And that it's a law firm with these twins, uh, rather not large twins, they're short, and they're twins, identical. You could barely tell them apart. You get used to them after 5 seasons. But she came on the show, and it's only beautiful women work for their company, of course. I mean, they're not
right.
stupid. They're
Sure.
absolute stunning um
Real estate
representation,
agents.
real
Yeah.
estate agents of property they're selling from 2 million to 14 million, and exclusive appointments. Anyway, she came on the show a couple of years ago, and by the end of 1 or 2 seasons, she started dating one of these twins. I was like, well. Now, she had been married to the guy who used to be on a very popular a nighttime drama, This Is Us, I think.
Mm.
And then he broke up with her. And I felt bad for her, but I thought, gee, I don't think they have anything in common. But that rise to fame of one partner and the other one in the background, maybe that was it. And he was off doing his thing. And at first, I kind of had a dislike of her. But what's interesting about her, she dates one of these twins, wants to have kids. He can't commit to that. And they break up. And then she became involved in with a female. She's in a same-sex relationship. I don't know if they still are, but I kind of like, all right, girl, okay, now this is really like you're not sitting in a box of Hollywood, you know? It was
Well,
very.
same with the Bachelorette, right? Like,
Yes.
isn't
Yes.
she
Yeah.
now? I kind of love that. So I guess that begs the question, though: are these people just in it for the celebrity? I don't think anyone. I
Mm,
would think no one should think that people are going on The Bachelor or The
mm,
Bachelorette to find love. I think that they're going on The Bachelor or Bachelorette to find success in Hollywood,
mhm.
Yeah.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, so it kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I agree. Ultimately, though, I don't think everyone's going on reality TV just to be famous. I think that it is a calling, and now we know that this is a big business, quite a big business, generating more and more programs where you're not a has-been. Dancing with the Stars got rid of the idea of a has-been in Hollywood, because if you weren't in the limelight, they bring you out on Dancing with the Stars. So to me, that's very positive, respecting the energy of work for performers. And they are performers. That's kind of probably why there's not average people on the USA one. What do you think, Michelle? You had some ideas.
Yeah, I think there's you know, I wish there was an American version with regular people, right? I really do, because I love the British version. But you always run into a problem with people not having like a sophistication of being filmed. So there's an Australian, I think it's an Australian season where there's a guy in this that you never hear about. And all of a sudden he's out, and someone's like, who even is this guy? And it's because they couldn't put him on camera because he kept acknowledging the camera people and talking about like the sets and stuff. Yeah. And they were like, well, we didn't have enough material. And so, funny. When you keep getting these reality people, they're just a known quantity. Yeah. Where they know the deal. They're not gonna that they're just gonna be ready. They're gonna know where to look. They're gonna know to not acknowledge that this is a farce, right? That because yes, of course, but you're supposed to be you have to act a little bit because you're not actually stuck in a castle in Scotland. There is an element, a pantomime element of the whole thing. And so as much as I want regular people, I understand why you get all these minor celebrities or people who are already in these shows because they have a skill.
Right.
For this.
And Chriselle brought that storyline for me. Kate Chaston brought the below deck storyline with her of, and you're seeing that with the Challenger. You've got a narrative going behind them. I mean, it is sports. In a weird way, this is sports for people who hate sports,
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I think that it's funny because I never watched season 1, so I didn't even know. I tried to do a little research, but I didn't know.
Still can.
I'm going to after this. I'm going to. It's silly that I haven't. But I was thinking, like, I don't even think I would like to have regular people. Like, who would want to watch that? I like the celebrities, but then that's what Survivor is, and I love Survivor. So why wouldn't I love that?
Yes. You have to watch the UK versions. They're so different. Oh my God, they weep.
Yeah.
They take it so personally. It's so interesting to see the difference.
Yeah. I mean, they really are emotionally involved in a different way than the distilled version of performers, professional performers. And the professional performers, though, are really super entertaining. But yeah, I mean, I'm relieved that it's reality stars, but I would like a whole episode with just American non-performers as well. I think they could throw that together, couldn't they, for us? But
I think that makes sense. Again, I didn't really think of it the same way as I would think of Survivor. And I think part of the reason is because these guys, if you're on a reality show, and these aren't people who are just on reality shows, a lot of times they're, people who are good on those reality shows. So they know how to keep the show live and popular and make it about the show.
And they bring an audience. Oh, the other thing with Michelle is that she's been outwardly hates Tom Sandoval because she's friends with his ex.
That's right.
And so that is actually pretty funny too. They really avoid each other on set, and I find that entertaining. I want one more thing is you were talking about the food. One more thing I want to remember. And then there was a clip last week. Have you watched this week's last episode?
Of course.
Yeah. So Tom Sandoval is caught standing up and eating in the food room, and it's so unbecoming. And he doesn't seem to even care. He must have been starving, but I was thinking he was starving
too.
He's like a teenage boy who just needs as much food as he can get in him.
I was like, Tom, you're what are you doing in front of the camera like this? But he's like, he looks up and he just keeps going. Somebody talks to him and he's just. It's so funny. I almost took a screenshot of it.
Yeah.
Do you guys watch Southern Charm?
No, I don't. No. Do you?
So I love Southern Charm. Yeah. And I'm hoping that one of these will be one of the people will be on the show soon. And it's weird to me because they're not.
They might have been on the first season. They might have been on the first season. I'm just going to see if I can find that.
I don't think so.
Oh,
I don't think so. No, the first season, even the I did write down who the celebrities of the first season were. And Ryan Lochte and Ari Leindeck Jr., who are athletes, race car driver and a swimmer.
Interesting.
Someone from the Shahs of Sunset,
Right.
Housewife, Kate Chastain,
Summer
Survivor.
Kyle Cook.
Summer House is like adjacent to Southern Charm. They
that's
have
why. That's why.
The Big Brother, a couple Big Brothers.
Good memory, you guys. For me, I start forgetting who is who. I was going to write down everybody's name because I get, that's the other thing. It's like sometimes it takes me 4 or 5 episodes to really feel like I know who's who.
I couldn't figure out the Bambis. I mean, the Bambis this season, I didn't know which one, because I feel like a couple people look alike. Like Brittany kind of looks like someone else or Brittany. Because I don't really know who are. Yeah.
Who are the Bambis? Brittany, and is it Sierra who doesn't? Is she?
No, I don't think Sierra's.
No.
I think she's kind of on the outside. It was the Bachelorette too, which I like her name. I
can't think of it either. But yeah, the Bambis, that was funny. And again, these in-groups, they are breaking them up, and they're going to have to, because they're not trustworthy. They're never going to vote each other out. So that's a very...
Nikki was a Bambi too, I think, at one point.
Yeah, I think she was too. She's fabulous. I don't think we've seen her blossom yet.
No, and I know her from the WWE, and I think that she did well enough that she's going to be on these shows. She'll be on House of Villains or something like that. Definitely, guys, check out House of Villains because it's very much like the same cast. There's definitely crossover that I think you would like.
Interesting.
Yeah, I wish she had gone further. She was a great character, and I just feel like... I
agree.
There's some people that you're not in a group enough and you're too strong of a competitor that they're like, you're out, where you don't have the Bravo or the Survivor to keep you in, and you're just too strong, and people just, they may know you're not a traitor, but they're like, no, you're too strong of a competitor, we have to get you out.
You're making perfect sense, because that would be in game theory of social game, is that anyone who's too much of anything, and it's too quiet, even you're too friendly, you're too strong, you're too angry, anything is disruptive to the game, so they will get rid of you. It's just not worth hanging out with them.
Literally, well, Wes, who is he is a real pronounced character on the challenge, was doing the exact opposite. I think you had called it out. He was like behind the scenes and he was just there, and then he had he just had a masculine meltdown last episode, and he's kind of lost it all.
And I suppose when you think you've made bonds with people and alliances, and then they start turning against you, maybe you are getting pissed off. I forget about that.
I feel like he thought he was doing really well and was going to take it, and then when he got challenged, he was like, "You don't challenge me. I'm the winner." And it's like, you haven't yet.
I'm the best. Yeah, that was weird.
That was like, right. Like he just couldn't handle being challenged.
Yeah.
He does the same thing on the House of Villains. You'll see the same thing. And he makes up stuff, and he's Mensa, and he's the smartest guy, and it's just games playing. He knows he's doing it. So I think he's just going, I think it's intentional.
President next.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean,
I do have a quick...
Yeah, please.
I just don't know, because I only watched season 2 and I'm in love with season 3. Is there a finale? At the finale, do you always have to share it? Is there an option you have to share? Like Trishelle and CT, is that on every season and internationally as well? Are
if you're faithfuls, you share it. If you're a traitor, or if 2 traitors make it to the end, they share it.
But if there's one faithful and one traitor, they can't share.
Right. And so when you get down to 2, because you can't vote each other out, then that's it.
And that's why.
Didn't Trishelle and CT have to? I'm trying to remember. Didn't CT have to pick Trishelle? And even though they were both challenge alumni, she was nervous he was going to flip. What was the scenario with that?
Because
that was brilliant.
That was because that was with Mercedes. That was really interesting, where they had gotten the last traitor out, and CT and Trishelle had this alliance the whole time. but they were all faithfuls. And Mercedes was like, great, we did it. We got the last traitor out, you guys. We're going to take it. And there was a moment where, because you get to go around and see who wants to vote. And it was CT who put in the red to say, no, I want to vote again.
The red ashes.
The red ashes.
Yeah, into a fire. It's a symbolic vote.
Right.
You don't say it.
So when you get to the final, you vote one person out. And then if you want to vote again, to vote another person out. And this is only if there's 3 or more people. Everyone picks up a pouch with the chemical and throws it in the fire. And if it's green, that means you don't want to vote and you are confident that everyone's faithful and you're going to go home and split the money. Or you throw in the red pouch. That means, no, I still want to vote someone out. And I think the problem with that is that it was CT who wanted to vote again. And Trishelle didn't know, oh, are you turning on me?
Right. I remember that.
Or what is going on? Or are you a traitor? And then she had like a panic, like, oh my God, you might be a traitor. We might have to vote you out. But there was never, and they each voted, everyone had one vote for like 1 or 2 rounds.
Yeah, it was very
It took
tense.
a lot.
It was a confusing ending. And what made that so great for me, a fan of the challenge, was that there had been such like a, over the years of the challenge, those two kind of bumped heads.
Yes.
And even though they were aligned on traitors, Trishelle was really nervous. And I think CT knew all along, but it added to the excitement for me. I like that very much.
I concur.
That was a great ending.
I agree completely. And there you go, where they don't know either, and they're just as nervous as we are watching. And it would have been a huge betrayal. I mean, I could see them just hating each other on social media if he had been a traitor or if she had been a traitor.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's the thing, is you're really betting whether or not, if you take a traitor to the end, then you're screwed. Your whole game, everything you worked for is gone. And you look like a chump to most people. I mean, I don't think she would be a chump, but you know what I mean? It's like you failed.
No, I agree. So how often does that happen, right? How often does the traitor win in the shows that you've watched?
Oh, well, for me, I've seen it twice. I've seen a traitor win twice. I don't want to tell you when, though.
Right. I feel like about half the time. And there are some really significant, like, betrayal moments. Yeah, there's some really great endings. I
gotta watch more. I'm gonna go on a marathon. I'm sick now, so if I'm out of work, I'm just gonna watch Traitors all day.
That's what I did. You know, when you hear about a show from a couple of different places, like random, my friend's son in Canada and then the 2 upstairs, I was like, okay, this is a sign from God. I guess I have to watch Traitors, And I basically binged, I don't know, probably all December, and then in March, I just went nuts watching it.
Yeah, you ran out of steam, because I remember telling you there was a Canadian version. And you're like, oh, I can't watch it Canadian.
I'll have to wait or something.
Right? Yeah. You had like,
I thought I might watch it.
Used all your traitor energy.
Yeah. And I mean, I did. I watched 4 hours all. Like, that's not that long. 4 seasons all in one go, like in a week.
Yeah, no, I do that. I do that a lot. I'm just, I'm like episode 8 right now behind me of Night Agent, which just dropped on Friday.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. That's a good one.
That's good.
Yeah.
I do. There's a problem with me. I watch too much TV. I always have. When I was a young kid, I used to do my homework in front of the TV, and I'm a TV junkie.
Oh, me too. Absolutely. And my mother would be like, how can you? I said, Mom, if I don't have the TV on, I'm not doing my homework. It's probably attention deficit. And I mean, it's funny because my grandson, we joke he's got 2 or 3 screens. And then we're like, no, 1 screen, right? And sometimes I'm like, I can't take it. But you know what? I can do 2 or 3 screens too. So I have no cartel left in terms of, say anything, because I was down here and I literally was doing one thing here, had the TV on and check it. I was like, oh my God, I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have to write my blogs while watching TV. Like it's it probably is some kind of attention deficit. But like for when I come in, when I wake up until I go to bed, the TV is on.
Oh, absolutely. Me too. Well, I was a single mom. So I had TV on as company many, many times. all the time. I mean, and I watched, when I've watched a lot of great movies just because I had the movie channel on that I would never have sought out
Right.
because it was on in Canada. It was like a very repetitive programming. They didn't have like HBO. It was just a Canadian version. And so you would maybe have only 10 movies for the whole week. I'd watch them
Yeah.
sometimes 5 times.
They'd show them
Yeah.
over and over again.
Yes, yeah.
4 times a day.
Yes. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew it too. As soon as I didn't live with my parents and I could get a TV, I was like, fuck that shit. I'm gonna have this TV and I'm gonna be watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, guys, this was awesome. I appreciate you
Oh.
including me, and I'm really excited for the end. So let's exchange Facebook.
Oh.
So let's just do it. Let's just do it one time around. Let's just say who the winner is going to be.
Okay.
Interactive. Like I'm going to go first. I think it's Derek.
I think it's Derek. I think Derek and Dylan are going to split it.
I'm gonna go with Dylan just to be different.
I think Derek and Dylan are the two. I mean, I honestly do too. And if it's not, and if it's someone like Chriselle, awesome. Like I hope that someone we have no idea wins. That would be great.
Me too. I feel right now, and I'm betraying my gender. I feel like the women aren't going to make it, but I could be completely wrong.
I would. Oh God, who's the last housewife? What's her name? Dolores.
Oh yeah.
She could
She's
win.
amazing.
She's amazing.
She is amazing.
She's like a sleeper. I feel like she could make.
She's New Jersey, right? She's New Jersey housewife and in New Jersey, so represent.
So you should be rooting for Jersey a little bit, and I do root for her because I'm a big fan of her on the when she was on Real Housewives of New Jersey.
Yeah, I would love for someone that we have no idea to win it because it just means that they've done a great job, right?
That's so true. That is so true. Well, thank you so much for coming out early in the morning, you two. And I'm pretty excited.
You, Adam.
It was nice to meet you too. And then check out, I'm just going to give this a little plug. If you guys get bored and you want to read some food stories, indigenous food stories, check out Foodigenous.com. And I keep them like 3-minute reads and I throw pop culture references that don't make any sense just because I like it.
Oh, I love it. You have a great blog and I'm going to link it. I'm going to link it into the website of this podcast too. So
awesome. Thank you so much. And I look forward to talking to you again in the future.
Maybe we'll talk after the finale.
I like it. All right, guys.
Take care. I'm going to turn it off now. Bye.